Welcome to PriceSquawk.
Yen.
Market Welcome open to PriceSquawk. Market open.
ES ES
Yen.
Some political news now from Australia. We're hearing from Joyce saying that businesses want political stability after the May election. Remember that May is the last date in which the national government can hold an election there. So that will be when Scott Morrison will seek to be re-elected.
ES
Right, so those investment flows, weekly investment flows for Japanese assets are due in 10 seconds.
Yen.
193.7 billion inflow for Japanese buying of foreign bonds, an outflow in Japanese buying of foreign stocks to the tune of 59.1 billion yen. Foreign buying of JGBs is an inflow of 84.3 billion yen, and foreign buying of Japanese stocks is an outflow of 52.9 billion yen. So indeed, it does follow the trend that we saw the previous week, and quite discernibly so it continues now. Though it has to be said that the numbers, in all cases, the cash numbers involved, much, much smaller than what we saw just a week prior. So around about a tenth of what we were seeing in the case of the Japanese buying of foreign bonds. We've also got some revisions to the previous week, not major movements, but certainly a couple of billion here and there, but none of which alters the picture. So essentially then investors, whether they're domestic or overseas in Japan, are buying bonds and are dumping equities. That's the takeaway from those numbers. We'll be putting up the breakdown of those numbers with all the back week numbers as well in just a short moment then on the whiteboard, as we call it. That's on our website. We invite you to take a look at livesquawk.com. Should be posted up there in a few moments.
Yen. Yen.
ES.
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 ES. ES.
Yen.
ES. ES.
Yen.
ES. ES.
So as promised, those numbers are now out. The weekly investment flows for Japanese assets and indeed overseas assets in the case of Japanese investors. Those numbers are now out, including the revisions to the previous week. So as I said earlier, the real takeaway from that is that we have a continuation, albeit at much smaller quantities this time round, of people buying, whether they're domestic or overseas investors, buying bonds and dumping equities.
ES. ES.
And a reminder that at the top of this hour, we've got the opening of the next market, which is the Tokyo
Big
Next Cash
Nikkei.
Equity Market. So a quick look at how the market is faring and what to expect. So first of all, the Nikkei 225 is going to be a point of focus. We expect that to be opening today at just one moment. We'll get that number. For some reason, the screens are a bit slow.
ES. ES.
So we've just had the Japanese investment flow numbers, of course, there for the latest week. Look quickly at what else to expect this session. So in just over 30 minutes time, 30 minutes past midnight London time, we get the Nikkei Japan PMI manufacturing number for February. That's also a preliminary figure, just as was the numbers we had earlier there from Australia. Also for Japan, I say the market really, there's very little, but there is a few other bits and pieces right at the tail end of the trading session. At 4:30 GMT, for example, we get the All Industry Activity Index for December. Now, that is a market mover, so we will be looking out for that one in particular. We also get supermarket sales, and half an hour later at 5 GMT. Not a huge mover, it has to be said. We'll keep an eye out for that as well. But certainly the All Industry Activity Index is going to be clearly of note for everyone. We also get other numbers even later. The Tokyo department store sales, that's at 5:30 GMT. And machine tool orders, final figures, so probably slightly less market moving. They're due at 6 GMT. So again, quite a few things that are
Topix.
spread out towards the tail end of the trading day there for Japan. In terms of how the markets are faring, so we expect the Nikkei to open up just 0.03% today at 21,424. That's according to brokers at IG. So we've only got a few spare seconds left before the market does open. Quick look then at the assets, the 10-year JGB. No surprise, that's really anemic at minus 0.08%. In terms of currencies, euro yen 125 spot 66 up 0.01%, and the dollar yen 110 spot 75 is down
Topix.
0.09%.
ES.
Yen. ES.
Yen.
ES.
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 Topix,
ES, ES,
Topix,
ES,
ES ice,
yen,
ES,
Topix,
ES, ES,
yen,
ES,
Topix,
ES,
yen,
yen,
ES,
Some more Brexit headlines coming through now. No deal Brexit could see Scottish GDP fall by up to 7%, says the Scottish chief economist. It's being reported now. Also, we're hearing that UK Home Secretary Sajid Javid says the Prime Minister May cannot take no deal Brexit off the table. That's according to an ITV interview he's giving. Home Secretary saying that
ES,
risk of a no deal Brexit has risen.
ES, ES, ES,
yen,
Topix,
Welcome to PriceSquawk.
Topix, Topix,
Well, pretty much as expected, we've got Nikkei 225 opening not particularly strongly either direction, but it has actually dropped by
Yes.
0.04% at the opening today at 21,422 points. So rather than upside,
Mini
we, in
Nikkei,
fact, got a bit of downside. In terms of South Korea, the
ES,
Kospi
Mini
index there
Nikkei.
also opening down by 0.25%.
ES,
Topix,
ES,
yen,
Well, now, since those comments that were reported from the UK Home Secretary and indeed the comments there of the Scottish Government's own chief economist about the impact of a no-deal Brexit, we have seen cable take a bit of a knock. Not a huge move, but it's
ES.
there. 130.37 is the current level. That's down 0.09% on the day.
ES,
130.37 compares with around the 130.45 area that we were seeing just prior to midnight.
ES.
Yen.
ES.
Mini Nikkei.
ES. ES. Yen.
ES.
ES. ES.
ES.
ES.
Yen.
Yen.
Mini Nikkei.
ES.
ES. ES.
Mini Nikkei. Topix.
ES.
Mini Nikkei. Mini Nikkei.
ES. ES.
ES. ES. ES.
ES.
Mini Nikkei.
ES.
Yen.
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 ES.
ES. ES. ES.
Some commodities news now hearing that Anglo, I assume that's Anglo-American, has halted output at Australian coal mine after a worker.
Big Nikkei.
Now hearing also that former Trump lawyer Mike
Yes.
Cohen is to testify before House Government Oversight Committee on February the 27th. That's
Yeah.
according to a committee statement.
ES.
ES
ES.
Ice. Big Nikkei.
ES.
Topix.
ES. ES. ES.
Big Topix.
ES.
Yen.
Yen.
ES.
Yen.
ES ice.
ES. ES. ES.
Topix.
ES,
yen,
ES,
Welcome to PriceSquawk.
ES.
Big Nikkei. Topix. Big Nikkei.
ES. ES.
Topix.
Yen.
Well, following the data we had earlier, the CBA PMI numbers for Australia there, which were a
ES.
miss, as if you recall, particularly on the services side, where the numbers actually came in as negative or effectively below 50, 49. Area.
ES.
So that is significant because it's now being suggested that those PMI misses could in fact amplify any sort of negative reads that we get in the Australian jobs
Mini
report,
Nikkei.
which is of course coming up in a short while. In fact, in about 17 minutes' time at the bottom of the hour. So we've got quite a bit of data to get through. Might as well look at it now. We're not going to wait until 10 minutes to go through this because
Mini Nikkei.
we've got three
ES.
elements. We've got, first of all, Japanese numbers, which are the Nikkei PMI manufacturing numbers, which is a preliminary figure for February, and that makes it interesting. If not that, then the fact that the
ES.
previous month it landed at 50.3, which is very close to the area of contraction, which would be anything under 50, of course. So that's an important number. And in terms of the jobs report, that's for January. Again, that's always a big mover as well. And then we've also got the RBA's FX transactions data. So what we're going to do is, if we may, we're going to move with the jobs report first, particularly the employment change number and the unemployment rate.
Market
We'll
open.
come to
Big
the
Nikkei.
breakdowns, etc. later. Then we'll go straight over to the Nikkei PMI numbers for Japan, as that is a preliminary number. And then finally, we'll address the issue of the RBA's FX transactions for January. So that's the order in which we are planning to do it.
Yes.
Notwithstanding that we get the Nikkei number first, in which case we'll obviously read that first. But basically, we're planning to go with
Sell.
the jobs report for Australia first. And quickly then, what to expect. So for January, we're looking for a 15,000
Big
creation.
Nikkei.
That would be a slowing down from the 21.6 thousand that was recorded in December. The unemployment rate for Australia in January expected to remain at 5%. The full-time employment change, there's no forecast for this, but it dropped by 3,000 jobs back in December.
Topix.
Part-time employment change in Australia in January, again, no forecast for that. Those jobs
Topix.
rose by 24.6 thousand in December. Participation rate, we're expecting that to remain at 65.6%. Then on to the Nikkei Japan PMI for manufacturing. This is a preliminary figure for February. No forecast for this one. But as I mentioned earlier, in the previous month of January, it came in at 50.3.
ES.
Finally, the Australian RBA FX transactions data. So first of all, there are no forecasts for these either. The market value of previous month of December came in at 1.6
ES ice.
billion Australian dollars. The FX transactions for government were down by 1.7 billion, and the transaction, other transactions, which are hardly residual because they're quite a big number as well, were 1.6 trillion Australian dollars. That was back in December. So we're looking now for the January numbers.
ES.
Order filled.
yen,
ES. ES.
ES.
Order filled.
ES.
So the UK's broadcaster ITV has posted the entire interview with UK Home Secretary on Twitter. We've already given you some of the bite-sized headlines from that already, commenting there about the prospect of no deal Brexit being taken off the table is not an option for Theresa May.
ES.
Mini Nikkei.
ES. ES.
ES.
Yen.
Topic Mini Nikkei.
ES.
Big Nikkei.
ES.
ES Ice. Mini Nikkei. Topic Mini Big
ES.
Nikkei.
ES. Yen. ES.
Topics.
Yen.
ES. ES. ES.
ES.
Topics.
ES.
ES Ice.
ES. 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 Yen.
So just quickly referencing Australian assets prior to those numbers. As say, the main draw is going to be the January jobs report.
ES.
But in a few minutes' time, at the at the bottom of this hour. So first of all, Australian dollar against the US there at 71.64. Hasn't really moved very much up or down really in the last few minutes, but that's pretty much where it is. 71.64. In terms of the 10-year Govie in Australia, that's coming in at 2.086%, and that is down 2 basis points on the day. So just a reminder then what to expect we're going to start, if we may, with the actual jobs report for Australia for January. Employment change, we're expecting 15,000 jobs to be created. The unemployment rate to remain at 5%. We're then going to look at the Nikkei Japan PMI manufacturing. This is a preliminary February number. There's no forecast for this,
Yes.
but it came in at 50.3 in January, which makes this pretty critical given the ongoing dispute on trade between the US and China. Then we'll go back to flesh out the rest of the jobs report from Australia with the full employment, part-time, full-time employment, part-time employment, and
ES.
participation rate. We're expecting the participation rate to remain solid there at 65.6%. And then finally, we'll look at the RBA's FX transactions for January. Again, there are no forecasts for these. Will be a breakdown for market, government, and other. All those numbers expected at the bottom of the hour.
ES. ES.
Topic ES ice.
ES. 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 ES.